Howdy troops, I'm back again. Something I want to show you, and don't think that I'm going to turn this into a ham radio channel, because I'm not. Yes, I might have a bunch of ham radio videos, but we're not going that route. This is just something I've done for a long time, and I want to pass on, hopefully, useful information to you, that's all. So, I've got a video going up right now about setting up a simple ham radio. A little mobile rig and an antenna with a battery. And that is geared toward the person who has never done this before, because a lot of people haven't. Now, here's another thing. Again, I'm not going to trash on CBers, I'm not going to trash on MURS, FRS, or GMRS, but I'm going to show you something else that we can do in the ham world that you can't do in those other services. So keep this in mind if you're a hunter, fisherman, outdoors person, and you're out in willywags where your cells don't work. Most likely you're going to be in an area where there probably is ham radio repeater coverage, maybe from 1 or 2 repeaters, maybe more, and that's going to be on you to learn that and determine what covers where you're going. Now when you get out in the woods and you're out of your vehicle maybe and you're on foot, if you're carrying around a portable radio, you're going to be limited to the range of this radio and the power of it. Now you can carry around an external antenna you want if you want and try and string it up a tree. There's things you can do in that aspect. Bit of an inconvenience. But let's say your nearest ham radio repeater is maybe 20 miles away. It's a pretty hard stretch getting through the woods with one of these for 20 miles unless that repeater is really, really, really high. There is some repeaters I can do 28 miles no problem. Other ones I can't do 13. It's all depending on where you're at, what's in between you. A year or two ago I did this out on a partridge walk, and I was carrying around a portable, and I did crossband repeating through my truck. So that is something we can do that you can't do with CBs, and you can't do with MURS, FRS, or GMRS. With those radios, you've got what you've got, period. With ham, we can do the crossband repeating. You need to have the radios capable of doing that. Now, in that previous video I just showed you about setting up a simple ham radio with that old HTX 212, that radio is no good for it. It's not capable of doing it. This radio is. The radio in my truck is. I have a radio in the house that is. A radio in my camp that is. So here's how it works. I'm going to specifically talk about 2 radio bands. The 2-meter band, which is in the VHF radio range, and 70 centimeters, which is in the UHF radio range, also known as 440. And we're going to be using both of those. That's how I have mine set up. Your mileage may vary. You might be using 220 and 2 meters, or you might be using 220 and 70 centimeters, something like that. But you're going to be using 2 different bands at the same time, one way or the other. It's just a matter of how it is in your area. Are you trying to get into a UHF repeater? Are you trying to get into a 900 megahertz repeater, a VHF repeater? That's all depending on where you're at and what you're trying to accomplish. For me here, for the most part, I'm always going to be trying to access a VHF or a 2-meter repeater. So I'm going to have my link radio set up with a UHF link to go from my link radio to my portable. So I'm cross-banding from here, UHF, to my link radio, which then converts to VHF, and it's just like I was sitting there operating it, only I'm not. I'm out with this. I'm picking on a repeater that's about 40 miles away from here, and it's a pretty good shot. I can hit it from the house, no problem. Now from the house, I have a nice tower, 70 feet with a good antenna on the top, and I'll show you that. So I'm going to stand right here in the driveway. And on this radio right now, I have two things brought up. I have that repeater as it is. So I'm going to try and transmit directly to it at 40 miles. It's not going to happen. I'm way too far away for this little dinky radio with a rubber ducky antenna and 5 watts of power. I'm going to hold this up as high as I can. Let's see what happens. Make sure I get the volume up. Just tried to transmit. Nothing. No way. Way too far. So now here's what's going to happen. I'm going to toggle down, and I have something set up in my memory called X-band link, cross-band link. That's what I call it. So now I'm on UHF, and I'm going to go through my house. Now have a listen. Did you hear that squelch tail? It's a little staticky. That repeater is the one I just tried to key up and couldn't hit. Okay, so I can stand right here with no power whatsoever, like a half a watt on UHF. Go through the radio in my house, which is converting my UHF signal to a VHF signal, and it's acting like I was sitting right there talking on it, operating it. Transmits up to the repeater, takes my audio, passes through my radio, transmits up to the repeater. I just threw my call sign out. So if there's traffic on the repeater, it's going to hear that repeater come back to it on VHF, and it's going to convert that audio into the UHF side of my radio and transmit back to me on UHF. That's cross-banding. Now I can do this through the truck also. Like I said, when I was on the partridge walk a year or two ago, and I set my truck up to do that through one of the repeaters here. So I was out walking around with a HT doing this. Now the problem is I can't change the radio in my truck if I'm out and about. Whatever it's set on, it's on. I can't change the repeater. So just keep that in mind. But instead of having the range of just my portable, I will have the range of my truck. Now another thing to keep in mind if you're going through your vehicle is if you have it set up on a repeater that has a lot of traffic, any traffic coming through that repeater is going to make your radio transmit. So if it's always transmitting, you're going to be sucking down your battery. So if you're out all day, and it's cold out, cold, batteries doesn't get along real well, think about the possibility of killing your vehicle battery. And then when you get back out of the woods in the dark hours, your battery's dead because your radio's been transmitting most of the day. So just keep that in mind. For probably most people, repeaters aren't going to be transmitting all the time, so you're not going to have to worry about that. And again, you're an outdoors guy, girl, you're out in the willy wags, your portable's only going to get you so far unless you're way up in the high country. So if you have an option to be able to go through another radio to extend your range to hit a repeater, or even simplex, you can do this simplex. So maybe you have a camp in the woods and you can hit home directly on simplex and you can talk to somebody at home. You can set it up to do that also. It's all going to be dependent on your situation in your area. I can't tell you exactly what's going to work for you. For me, if I'm out in the willy wags, I'm going to set it up on a repeater that I know I can hit with a truck, and that's going to be it. And then I'll be out running around with a portable. So take a look at what I got here at the house for a setup. Way up on top of that tower is 70 feet. And the tallest antenna on the right is the one that we were just using. Running crossband, your link radio is receiving and transmitting at the exact same time. There's no delay. It's not like it's recording it and then has to play it and then you have to let it record from the repeater and then play back to you. Nope. That antenna is hearing me on UHF, going down, your signal's going down, going through the radio, coming back on VHF and transmitting all simultaneous. So here's the base radio in the house, the Anytone 578, and here's basically how it's working. You'll see two frequencies. Well, you can't see the actual frequency, but you see what I've got brought up. One's past the dumb keg, and then X-band link, my crossband link. So the crossband link, as I said outside, that's what I was talking on UHF. So my portable talks to this radio, and this radio talks to my portable on what I have set up, X-band link. And the repeater that I was bringing up is on past the dumb keg mountain. That has phenomenal coverage, and is a long ways from here. Now, if you notice in between them, right there, it says rep mode. That's repeater mode. So that means we're in crossband repeater mode. So if we hear something come from past the dumb keg, it's going to pass it through the radio onto my X-band link. And if we have anything from X-band link, it's going to pass it through the radio onto past the dumb keg. You noticed on there too, I have like P1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can program those buttons to do whatever you want. So like on here, I can take P6, long press, short press. So let's say P6 long press, push it and hold it for whatever it is, 3 seconds. Turns on your crossband repeater, push and hold it for 3 seconds. Turns off your crossband repeater. Just that simple. Because in repeater mode right now, it's locked. You can't change your VHF side, your UHF side, nothing. It's locked. So you don't have to go into menu, toggle around, roll here, roll there, find it. Nope, you can just have basically an on button and off button for that crossband. So that's pretty convenient, and you can set that up for whatever buttons you want. Customize it to yourself. As another note, my truck radio, identical to this radio, also has crossband link in it. As I said, like on the Partridge walk, I use the HT, the portable, to use my truck to do the same thing. Well, I can also use my truck to talk to this radio and do what I just did with the portable. So if I'm down here in town running around and I want to be able to access a repeater that's far away that I know I can't hit with the truck from down here, I can crossband into it also. So that's pretty slick, and I have done that.
The dual band in the car, the truck, and then using an HT from the garage or something?
Yeah, I'm just using the HT and cross-banding through the house at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's doing the job.
Yep, yeah, I'm on 433 something or other, I can't even remember, on the UHF side. And yeah, I tried a couple repeaters, didn't come up with anybody, so I figured I might drum you up here on Simplex.
Yeah, well, I've been on the seat on that for long before that. I was actually doing some DX, working DX today, having some fun. Figured I'd do something other than just nets, but so I gotta get back to, I took a bunch of radiograms and it was hurried, so.
I drew you a nice, beautiful picture, just for a visual reference. I'm gonna try to explain it. This is the way mine's going. From UHF to VHF. Yours could be backwards. Yours could be VHF on this side going out to UHF on this side. It doesn't matter. However, it's going to work in your area. So here's what's going on. Here's your portable, your HT, and it's going to transmit and receive on the same frequency. So I just picked 433.4. I would highly recommend putting something for a tone. And you'll learn that when you study for your license. So let's just say a PL tone of 107.2. Maybe you do a digital tone, whatever. Put something on your link, because if there's any interference on that link frequency, it's going to cause that link radio to start transmitting to your repeater or whatever you have set up on your other side. And you don't want that. That's what the professionals do, and then they wonder why there's a bunch of noise and garbage going over networks, because they can't figure out how to do this. But anyway, so let's say we transmit 433.4, our link radio in our truck, in our house, in our camp, whatever, hears us on 443.4. So it comes, hits the antenna, goes down our transmission line, goes into the link on UHF. The radio does its thing, and at the same exact time, it's transmitting back out on whatever you picked on VHF. So for simplex, I just picked 146.52. Or maybe you're going out on a repeater. So for that example, I picked 146.82. So let's say you're doing a repeater, and picking on these frequency pairs. This radio, link radio, is going to automatically do the shift, any PL tones, whatever, just as if you were sitting in your house or in your truck operating it. And then it transmits out to your repeater, wherever that may be. And it hears your repeater, comes back in on VHF, goes down, transmission line, hits the link, and at the same time, when it converts it, it comes back out on UHF on that frequency and comes back to you wherever you are on your portable. Okay, that was a good demo. That was on simplex. So as I mentioned before, maybe you're at a camp somewhere and you can talk to home on simplex from your base station, or maybe even your vehicle, but you can't with a portable. So you can use your portable through your crossband link, set up simplex on the other side, and talk directly home. So there you go, it works. Ham radio, yeah, I mean, there's going to be CBers, GMRSers, whatever out there that want to trash on us. It's stupid that people, and the other way, ham radio people trashing on CBers. It's just, the fight is absolutely ignorant. Everything has its place. What I just did and what I just showed you, you cannot do with the other services, and that is the end of the discussion. It's impossible. You have no crossbanding. You can't do it. There's nothing for CB to be able to do it. There's nothing for MURS to be able to crossband. FRS, GMRS, there's no way to be able to crossband. It's impossible. Ham radio, we can do it. So, as I said, think about this. Getting a technician class license is not difficult. If you're out in the willy wags where your phones don't work and crap, and you don't want to be paying satellite phone bills, and you can get family members to get tech licenses, and gear is not really that expensive, even this stuff that will do this cross-banding. It's a little bit of a learning curve, but it ain't hard. If you have questions, whatever, throw them in the comments. I'm happy to try and help you. It's a good way to get some good solid communications. We'll see you.